This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Okay, welcome everybody, especially to the families and kids watching. So we're just going to jump right into it. Yeah, Ngala, I'm Sean Marshall, and we've got Marcel behind the camera. But we're really excited. I don't know if you can see very well, but inside this grass patch over here, I'm not getting too close, I don't want to touch anything, but starting about here, where the back of the stick is, all the way across inside here, there's a puff adder. So a puff adder is a snake. Now, it's a bit hard to see. We're going to sit here. I'm obviously not going to go walking and poking inside of there. It's a very venomous snake. But we're just going to sit here. So it was in the road and has now come out of the road or off of the road into the grass here. So we're just going to sit here quietly and we're going to wait and see. Now, obviously, very, very good camouflage puff adders. That's how they do. They sort of ambush snakes. They will sit in one position, camouflage phenomenally well. And then, as a prey species, be it a mouse or even a scrub hare, a bird, an egg, something like that, they will shoot out, grab it. Got a cytotoxic poison, or venom, sorry, a cytotoxic venom. And they've got a cytotoxic venom that they will use to subdue their prey. If you have any questions about this snake or anything else during the safari, just remember, kids, families, you can send your questions to kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. So very, very, I know it's very hard for you to see right now because the camouflage is just so well. But we're going to sit here and we're going to wait. I'm very sure the snake will come out. It's quite a hot day. It's in some grass now, but it should come out. It was on the road, most likely just basking in the sun. So Marcel and I, we're going to spend some time here, see if we keep nice and quiet, if the snake does go back out into the road. Perhaps sit out there in the road.
I just apologize for the shakiness.
Yes, so Marcel has taken the camera freehand now. It's not on the base anymore. That's why it is a bit shaky. Just where the snake is, to get any sort of angle, we had to freehand the camera. So he is trying his best. Okay, what we're going to do, as I said, Marcel and I, we're going to sit here, we're going to wait, we're going to watch, and we're going to see what happens. In the meantime, we're going to send you across to James so he can say hello.
Hello and welcome to this part of our afternoon drive today. My name is James Hendry. On camera today is David.
Hello.
And we are hopefully going to find you some very interesting creatures. The first two creatures we have got for you are, of course, two red-billed hornbills. And these red-billed hornbills are fossicking around in little piles of dung deposited by impala probably, and then they're also looking in amongst the grass, all for insects that might have strayed away from the cover. So they'll dig through the dung, see if there are any dung beetles or their larvae or that sort of thing, and dig in the grass as well. Just me killing a fly. Remember to ask us any questions you'd like to using the email address kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. That's for the first 45 minutes. We'll be talking exclusively to the youngsters. Well, not talking to you exclusively, but answering your questions exclusively. And after that, well, we'll open the floor. Sean, we're in northeastern South Africa. We're as northeast in South Africa as you can go, pretty much. And as far east in South Africa as you can go, just about. So the Kruger National Park runs all the way along the northeastern corner of South Africa, and the Greater Limpopo Transfrontier Park, of which the Kruger is part, extends into Mozambique and north into Zimbabwe. And the Kruger looks like an enormous boot, basically, with a big fat foot that's been stomped on by a giant elephant. And so it's long and thin with a fat bit at the end. And we're kind of halfway along there on the western boundary on a private reserve called Djuma. So it's northeastern side of South Africa. It's a very famous kind of game reserve area of this part of the world. All right, There are our hornbillows. We're going off to the northeastern parts of Djuma today. We haven't investigated that area for a while. And in the meantime, we're going to hand you over to Lauren, who I think is going to the southeast at the moment, but I think she's going via the west.
Good afternoon, everyone. Fortunately, I don't have an animal to show you, but I do have some good news. My name is Lauren, and on camera, wait. You're going to see a thumb that you maybe don't recognize, because on camera I have BK. Welcome back, BK. It's great to have him here. Yes, he is my cameraman for this afternoon. I am super happy. Owen has gone. He's taken a break. He will be back, don't worry. Just a little bit of rest, and BK is with us. So, beginner's luck. When you come back from leave, we've noticed that you always have luck on drive. So I'm hoping that BK is going to bring it today. We are heading south, and hopefully we'll check on Kuchava and Cub, but I'm not entirely sure she's going to be there. They've been on that kill a very long time, and the kill is, well, mere skin and bones, literally. So I'm not sure if they'll be there, but we're going to scratch around anyway and see what else we can find. So I'm very much looking forward to answering all your questions today. The west is very quiet. I just said to BK, it's a hit or a miss. Sometimes the west delivers and sometimes it just doesn't. And today it hasn't. But don't worry, we're almost at the south, and then we'll head straight into Chitwa, where Kuchava and Cub have been for the past 4 days now. Long time. And that just shows you how much leopards maximize of a kill. If there's no scavengers, if there's no hyenas or vultures or anyone waiting, they can keep the kill for a really long time. And Kuchava's kill was not hoisted. I believe it is now, but it wasn't for the first 2 to 3 days. It was on the grounds, and not one single scavenger was present. So now that it's hoisted, you might find that they're still there because there's a cub involved, a little male. Would you like to see a cub, BK? Okay, fingers crossed. But yes, it just shows you how long leopards sit on a kill for if it's not stolen from them. A very, very long time. It's hard not being out in the morning. You've got to start piecing things together from the afternoon onwards. But I like it. It's a challenge. And if we really, really, really don't find Kuchava, we'll scratch around Chitwa, and then we will come back in again to Djuma and see what else we can find around Djuma. But for now, let's head on to the southern boundary. Aha! Mr. Hendry's already on form, and it appears he has came across a herd of elephants.
Well, I don't think it's a herd of elephants unless it's got a lot of invisible friends. This is just a bull elephant, one big bull elephant, and he's wandering through these changing clearings. And I say changing because if you'd been watching this show 3 weeks ago, these clearings would have been bright green, and they're now slowly turning the golden colours of the winter. Let's move a little bit, see if we can keep up with him. I think he's probably just had a drink, and now he will continue the endless process of eating and eating and eating and eating and eating. Now he's shaking his head at us. Sorry, Natalie, you're going to have to give me that name again. Aadha. A-A-D-H-A. A-A-D-H-A. Aadha. A-A-D-H-A. Aadha. Aadha. Hello, Aadha. Elephants have got such big ears because they need them to cool the blood in the brain. Seems like a strange thing, but it is true. They have got such huge ears because they have to cool the blood in the brain. All of their blood flows through those ears in about 20 minutes. Every time they flap their ears, the blood cools down in the veins that are in their ears, and then it travels into the brain and keeps it nice and cool, which is a great thing if you happen to live in a very hot environment and you're a very big creature which finds it difficult to lose heat. Lovely question there from Bill in Charlotte, North Carolina, wondering about tusks and why it is that an elephant needs them. Well, Bill, tusks are used for a multitude of reasons. One, they're used to scrape away the bark of trees. They're used to dig holes. They're used to defend themselves. They're also used, of course, to fight with each other. So a big bull like this might use his tusks to fight with another big bull. And they can inflict some serious injuries. But some elephants are born without tusks, and they survive just fine. They have to compensate and make another plan for digging out roots and breaking branches and that sort of thing. And then the Asiatic elephant, 1/2 of the population has no tusks at all, so the females don't have any tusks. He's now showing us his bottom. Davy and V are in Canada. I don't know which part of that vast country you happen to be in. Hopefully it's a slightly warmer part than some other parts of your country. A big elephant bull like this will probably live to about 65 years. If he's lucky, if no disease befalls him, if no predators or drought gets him, he'll live to about 65 years. I'd say he's probably about 35 to 40 years old. So he's a good-sized bull. And you saw him flap his trunk over his tusks as we came around the corner. That was a bit of a warning to us to say, listen, try and stay pretty much where you are, don't come any closer. And so we'll heed that warning. We're just going to move around there. We're going to view him again, but we're not going to get any closer to him so that he doesn't feel threatened by us. Because if he feels threatened by us, he might be tempted to tell us to go away a bit more urgently by running at us. And we don't really want that, because I would be terrified and he would stop trusting us. Alexander, you're 5 years and 11 months old. Gosh, that is a very exact age. So can we round it up to 6? Can we say you're 6? I suppose when you're 5 years and 11 months, 1 month is quite a long time. All right, Alexander, you want to know why elephants wee so much? Well, I don't think they do, really. They just drink a lot, and so it looks like they wee a lot. But because they're so big, they have to drink a lot, and therefore they're going to wee quite a lot. You know, if a human being was that size, they would also wee quite a lot. What a question. Alexander, thank you. Hello, James. You're 8 in Johannesburg. You have a very good name, I must say. It's an excellent name. An elephant like this will eat up to 300 kilograms of food a day. Now, we were doing our maths on Sunday, and I was getting it all horribly wrong. But I'm going to guess that at age 8, you probably weigh between 30 and 35 kilograms. And to make it easy for myself, I'm going to say you're 30 kilograms. And if you're 30 kilograms, he basically eats 10 of you every day. 10 of you every day. How's that? Obviously, he doesn't eat flesh. He eats only grass and leaves and bark and roots, etc. Hello, Charlotte. No, elephants don't only live in Africa. A different kind of elephant, called the Asiatic elephant or the Indian elephant, sometimes people call them, live in India. But they also live in Thailand, and they live in other parts of Southeast Asia, and probably used to live throughout most of the warmer parts of Asia. And they look a bit different from these elephants. They've got smaller ears. They are slightly smaller. And as I was saying to Bill a little earlier, The cows don't have tusks at all. He's very peaceful now, just quietly going about his food search. Not in any rush at all. He doesn't care that it's the middle of a busy week. For him, every day is the same. The process of seeking out food. Eventually he'll go in search of other elephants if he smells that there's a female that's ready to mate. Are they? Oh, I see, yes, I see what you mean, Sam. Sam, that's a good question, and I don't know the answer. I don't know why he's got those hairs there on his lip. It's like a little beard. Yeah, I really couldn't answer that question. I'm not sure why he would need them. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. You know, Sam, the little ones are born with a little bit of hair on them, and I don't think it's enough to keep them warm or anything like that, so I don't really know why they've got that hair. There might not be a reason. It might be what we call an evolutionary throwback. David, you're just 4 years old in New York and wondering how you tell the difference between a bull and a cow. Well, it can be a little bit difficult, but in this case, not so much. This is a bull, and the easiest way to tell is to look between his back legs, and you can see there that he's a bull. But otherwise, you can tell by the fact that his back is more hollow, it's more bowed than a cow's. His head is rounder, and his front legs look almost longer because his chest doesn't hang down as low as a cow's. Also, a cow of this age would have very obvious what we call mammary glands or breasts, and you'd be able to see those very easily. And so that's how you tell the difference between a bull and a cow. Good. Let's go across to Lauren now. She's got a small, fun, flying creature.
Maybe small, but here we have a beautiful scarlet red dragonfly. Not a damselfly. They're very, very similar. They're both part of the Odonata group, but this is a dragonfly. And you can see it's just perched, as they always do, with their bodies still sticking out on the end of a twig here. Cannot miss this colour. It's absolutely striking, and it's quite unusual in the bush. And I remember mentioning that we really don't see much red out here. And a few of you messaged me with some fantastic photos of red insects. So they have got competition for who's the reddest, shall we say. But this is definitely in the top 5. They're just resting. Insects do need to rest. It's all about energy budgets. Oh, you can see that ant. Oh. That was very, very cool. So dragonflies, when they're young, they're not called juveniles, they're called nymphs. That's the name for a young dragonfly, and they're designed very, very differently. Very differently. And they live in the water, so they're aquatic. They won't be flying around, they'll actually be breathing underwater, like an aquatic animal. And they'll stay like this for up to 6 years, depending on the species, 1 to 6 years. And then they transform into what we are looking at now. They become air breathers, and of course their wings develop, and they become ferocious predators. They'll hunt insects out of the air. So if they see a mosquito or a delicious gnat that they want to eat, they'll literally swoop down and hunt it whilst flying. Now that takes a lot of precision, and that's why they have these huge, well-developed eyes. You can see in 360 degrees, and they have 30,000 pixel units. So their vision must be so different from ours. It's actually hard to imagine what it would be like to have the eyes of dragonflies. Stunning. I love dragonflies and damselflies. They are different, although they're very, very closely related. Dragonflies tend to be much bigger with sort of heavier set bulbous bodies. Damselflies, have much thinner bodies. There's other differences, but they are very, very similar. They can also fly at around 30 miles per hour. Murray and Ross, you're asking about dragonfly wings. Oh, it came back again, Beaks. It's playing with you. Really, really not long. I would say it depends on the species. There's lots of different species of dragonflies, but I would say they really don't go much bigger than about 4 centimeters. I'm not too sure what that is in inches. Yeah, don't know if I'm going to be able to work it out, but about 4 centimeters would be the longest wingspan. One more time with that question, Natalie. Addison, you're 8 years old from Louisiana, and you are asking me a question that I'm going to wait on Natalie repeating, I'm afraid, about this dragonfly here. What does a dragonfly eat? They are ferocious predators. So that means they eat other animals, smaller insects, flying insects that are in the sky. Let's see if we can give you another view of it. No, it's still there, BK. So what they'll do, they're resting right now, but what they'll do is fly, and they'll come across mosquitoes or maybe really small flies, maybe even ants. So they are carnivores, and they will eat other insects, especially the smaller ones. They're called odonata because that means the toothed ones. So they do have serrated mandibles, which is the name for their jaws. That's what we call the jaws in insects. And it's serrated, like little sharp teeth. And that's because they are carnivores and they do eat other animals. If they eat insects, insects have an exoskeleton. So they've got to be able to crunch through them. Ah, what a lovely sight, and good job, BK. We're still going to make our way down to Chitwa, but we're going to send you guys across to James and his elephant.
Our elephant has just made an enormous bath. He went... Now, that's quite funny, but it's also very interesting because elephants produce a lot of gas, and that's because they eat a lot of green food. And that green food needs to be processed in the back of the stomach, and that processing makes a lot of gas. He's walked slowly past us, and then turned and looked at us, and came a little bit closer, and now he's feeding again around us. Addison, this elephant at shoulder height stands at about 3 meters here in Louisiana. Let me just try and work that out for you in feet. It's about 10 feet, if I'm not very much mistaken. One moment, please. I'm just going to sit here, let him see what he does. And yes, in fact, some big bulls, believe it or not, reach 3.5 meters in height, and that's about 3.5 times 4, is 12, 13 and a half, 14 feet or so. He's having a lovely meal, but you know what? He could have chosen to go walking a long way away from us. There's food everywhere, but he's chosen to eat around us. And I don't think it's because we parked in a particularly rich area of grazing for him. I actually think he's doing it because he quite enjoys being around us. I also don't think he's quite as old as I thought he was. And you see his head is relatively narrow. And so I'm going to put his age at about 25, maybe 30. He looks a little bit like a gangly teenager in so much that he hasn't quite filled out yet. Brody, aged 7 in Indiana. What makes them have sharp tusks? They're actually just born like that, you know. In the same way that your teeth are a certain shape and a lion's teeth are a certain shape and your dog's teeth are a certain shape, so the elephant's teeth are a certain shape. Those are his 2 front teeth, and they just happen to be sharp because that's how they need to be. He needs them to be like that in order to use them for digging and for scraping bark and for defending himself. And they don't sharpen them, unlike rhinos, for example, which will sharpen their horns. Elephants' tusks just grow to a point, in the same way that a sharp dog's tooth grows to a point. I think he's actually enjoying being around us. Let's see if he comes a little closer or if he just walks off for now. Often, to really get to spend quality time with elephants, you need to sit with them for a long time. Leslie, aged 8 in Louisiana. I've been to Louisiana. Elephants weigh about 6,000 kilograms, which is about 14,000 pounds. That's a big elephant, a big bull elephant. So this guy probably weighs about 5,000 kilograms, maybe 5,500, which is a massive amount. So, I mean, round about 12,000 pounds. He will keep growing until the day he dies, just about. So he'll get heavier. Though I'm not sure he'll get much taller, he'll certainly get much heavier. Fredster, all the way from Jamaica. Wow, it's good to hear from you. Fredster, I've always wanted to go to Jamaica. I've never managed to get there. Fredster, an elephant's tusks can grow to just about any length, and it seems to be determined by genetics. In other words, there's nothing they can eat or do to make their tusks longer or shorter. And so this elephant's tusks, I don't think, are going to be huge. They will keep growing from where they are now. Some elephants' tusks will reach the ground. Some elephants' tusks grow forward, some go straight down, some grow skew and grow towards the back. Some are long, some are short, some are fat, some are thin. So there's no way to answer that question. Some elephants have got no tusks. So it just depends on the individual. This is what I thought might happen. You see how he's just slowly coming a bit closer to us. We're trying to figure out what we want. And if he wants to engage with us. Or if he'd just like to move on. way, in India, tusks and horns are completely different. A horn is something that grows out of the skull. So it grows out the head, out of the top of the skull. A tooth, or a tusk, is a tooth. And in the elephant's case, it is the front incisors. And in the case of something like a warthog, it's the canines, which are the ones on either side of the incisors. Hello, Morgan and Paul, all the way in Oregon, the United States. If the tusks break, there's nothing the elephant can do, really. He just has to deal with living without tusks. We saw a big bull elephant this morning who had 2 broken off tusks, but they make do, you know, they survive. I think it's easier if they have tusks because they can break branches and dig more effectively, but I don't think that it's necessarily something that can really affect their longevity or how long they live if those tusks break. And they do break from time to time, and there's nothing really we can do about that, or they can do about that, and they won't grow back again. It's like a tooth. If you lose your 2 front teeth, they're not going to grow back again. Unless, of course, you're a youngster and you've still got your milk teeth. I'm sorry about that antenna in the middle of the picture, but I can't move because if I move, he's going to get a fright. Now we're just trying to see if he won't come closer to us. Just for the sake of saying hello. Here we go. He's slowly getting closer. Just investigating what we want. He might just decide he's had enough and move off, but I do think it's very interesting that he's chosen to eat right around us when you really could be eating anywhere else. Alrighty, we're going to send you 110 kilometers off to the west now, to where Taylor is waiting to say good afternoon to you.
Hello everybody, my name is Taylor and on camera with me today is Alex, and we are in Ngala Game Reserve, which is right, it says 110 kilometers or so away. Now, I'm glad that all of you have got to join us. We've been driving around and we found some giraffe, and then they snuck away in the bushes, and then we saw some baboons run across the road and they also disappeared. So I had to pick some things for you that wouldn't run away from me. So one of them, this is not a carrot, in case you were wondering if it was a carrot. This is not what the carrots look like out here in the bush. This is a mother-in-law's tongue plant. Now, I wish I had a knife on me. Wow, look at this. Amazing. Look at that knife. Now, you must be very careful with the knives. I will get the plant in a minute. I don't need to do that. We're going to take it like this. It's a very important plant. We will replant it in camp. So we dug it out. And you can see it's got one really big long taproot, and then it's got all these other little roots over here. But what's really nice for this, we're going to just use a small amount, and they're pretty hard and they grow quite well. So I'm going to just put it here because I don't want to cut it on the plastic part of the car. I'm just going to put it on the metal part of the car. And we're not going to cut ourselves. Remember, you must never use sharp tools. I've already got a wound from when I cut myself last. To be careful. It's very It's either a very tough root or a very blunt knife. Not sure. Okay, that will do. We'll put that down out of the way. I'm going to just snap it with sheer force now and see if I can break it off. I can't, so, well, that's not going to work. So I think what I'm just going to do now is just pull some of this outer root bark off. Probably good for something. Normally there's a stomach ailment to fix your tummy if it's sore, and you can actually chew it. Mmm. Can you hear those sounds? Isn't that a nice sound? That's terrible. It doesn't taste very nice, but there's lots of water coming out there. So if you're thirsty, I will fix this root. Stand all over my mouth and my teeth. But this is really, really good as a water source. And then something else that you can use it for, I love the taste of earth, is that you can take the leaves and you can strip them, and they're very fibrous, and you can make a rope from them. So that's just one plant in the bush. We will make sure that it gets lots of water and that it lives in a nice, safe place in the garden at the Karongwe Eco Training Camp. And then another one that you have to be quite careful of is this one. This is wild asparagus, and the reason why I say I have to be careful of it because it's got sneaky hidden thorns on it. And then a nice cool thing that you can do is that if you dig this one up as well, it's got very tuberous roots, so it's got quite dense roots, and you can eat them. They make a really nice food. And I remember that this wild asparagus that grows in an area that I'm from, in the Eastern Cape of South Africa, the flowers used to smell like coconut. It was really nice. Now, Vicky Wu, you've asked, what is the most famous plant in Africa? Oh, there's a couple. I don't think it's a marula tree. I think it's probably a baobab tree. Yeah. Have you seen a baobab tree? It's a succulent. It's huge. It's massive. It looks like, we actually call it the upside down tree because it looks like its roots are upside down. I might even have a picture for you. Asparagus. Oh, look at trees. Will we be able to find? Yes. That's probably the quickest I've ever found anything. That is a baobab. There we go, so that's what it looks like. This one has got leaves on, but normally when the leaves aren't there, it looks like someone has planted the tree the wrong way around. We'll try not to do that with the mother-in-law's tongue when we get back to camp. I would say that's one of the most famous trees. And then, of course, the trees that you see on all the postcards, which is that tree that looks like it's a big umbrella. Now, it could either be an umbrella thorn tree, or it could be a type of torchwood tree, which you typically get up in the Masai Mara. With this type of Balanites tree, and then the other one used to be called an acacia tree. So yeah, so I think out of those two, those would be the top species. Otherwise, yes, a marula tree, which we don't have not even one anywhere near us to show you. But in the Sabi Sand, where James, Trishala, and Lauren drive around, there are plenty of marula trees that the leopards like to live in, and they have a very tasty fruit. Very, very nice. You should try it sometime. Right, off you're going to go back to the Sabi Sands with, not Sam's, Sabi Sand with James, who's got a big lizard.
There is a big lizard, and it is a water monitor lizard. And it is resting very happily here on a log. I think it's probably wishing that the sun would come out, because they like a bit of sun, do the lizards. Because unfortunately for them, they don't have clever physiology like us mammals. They're unable to make their own body heat. Well, they're not able to make a lot of their own body heat. So they have to make do without. They must use the sun. And that tail there, which is longer than his body, is a good swimming paddle, but it's also a very good weapon. And they use their tails to slash at potential predators and anything that might want to bite them and carry them off and eat them. On top of that list is probably the martial eagle, a big eagle species that we get here, and they like to devour these lizards. Oh, there he goes. Now, for those of you who are interested in biology and the history of biology, these lizards are not in fact particularly closely related to dinosaurs. Now, some of you may have known that already, but I didn't know that. I thought for a long time that they must be pretty closely related. But in actual fact, they're not that closely related. They come from a totally separate evolutionary line of reptile. And it's... what's he doing? I think he's nodding at his friend. His friend's in the water there. It's very strange. And he's quite closely related to snakes, but not to crocodiles. Now, you two Canadians whose names I can't really hear. Let's see them again. Evie, is it? Daisy and V. Right, oh, Daisy and B. Daisy and B. Oh, that's quite sweet names. Daisy and B, they've got such long tails because, as I said, they like to use them to swim, and they use them as a weapon. So they'll use them to fight each other. So we've moved on from our friend the elephant, and we're still very close to camp. We're just making our way slowly towards the northeastern parts of the reserve. You think he's going hunting, maybe? Water's very bright. Evie in the UK, these guys will eat pretty much anything that they can catch if it's made of meat. They'll eat little birds if they can catch them, little chicks. They'll eat eggs, like those birds there. Davey, there's the beautiful little grebe with babies in tow and hippos in the background. Oh, that's very sweet. That's very, very sweet. So they'll eat those little things if they can. But they'll eat insects as well. They'll eat all sorts of different things, as long as it's kind of made of meat. Frogs, tadpoles, you name it. That was very sweet. And there goes a green-backed heron. That's quite cool to see as well. Lots of action here at the water. Now, if you sit long enough at a waterhole in the bush, you'll very often find lots of interesting things happening. He's turned round now. I think he's decided the water's a bit cold for him. So he's not going to spend much time in the water. It'll make him too chilly. He's a good-looking chap, that, isn't he? Braxton all the way in Louisiana. I don't know what they weigh, you know. I think these guys probably weigh in the region of 5 or 6 kilograms. Is hippopotamus calling? Maybe less than 5 kilos. Let's say 3 kilograms. So about 6 pounds, just over 6 pounds. Ella, I probably should have explained that before you had to ask. Ella, they stick their tongues out because that's how they smell. And that sounds like a very strange thing to say, but it is true. it's one of the ways they smell. It's not the only way that they smell. They smell with their noses as well, but they are able to pick up smell, for want of a better term, using their tongues. So they stick their tongues out, and what you might pick up in your nose, they pick up on the air on their tongues, and then they pull them back into their mouths, and they push that little fork of their tongues up through a hole in the top of the mouth, and that connects to a very special kind of organ, and that very special kind of organ then interprets what it is that the animal's smelling. It's quite complicated, but you can basically say that they're sticking their tongues out to smell. All right, we're going to wrap up the kids section of the drive now, and we're going to allow the adults to start asking questions, and they can do that using the hashtag WildEarth. Otherwise, they can use the chat stream on YouTube or Twitch. That lovely sound you can hear is the little grebes talking to each other. It's such fun watching them do that. Apparently in about 50 days, the little ones are able to do that. They motor along quite quickly, don't they? There's baby on the back there.
Not sure.
Let's see if she pops up again. Sometimes they dive with the babies on the back. It's quite funny. I think baby must have been on the back there. Where are the babies? There's a little... Oh, there they are. They were out exploring on their own. Trying to keep up with Mum and Dad as hard as they can. Alrighty, let's go across to Sean. He is sitting at Ngala and beyond Ngala. He is, I don't know what he's doing. Let's go and find out from him. I'm going to move on from here.
Okay, welcome back. A bit of a chaotic start to the show. I was very excited. We don't often see that many snakes. So when we did manage to get that puff at it was very exciting. So he went into that long grass where the camera was focused, where we were trying to see if we could actually spot him in there. And he stayed in there. So what we did, we thought maybe our presence, you know, obviously we're very big, make a lot of noise in the car, vibrations, things like that. And then he moved off into the bushes. So we left him. We went back to earlier. We saw tracks of some male lions. Looks like one of the Ross males and possibly the young male as well. We dropped off Rowan there, so he's busy following those tracks. We've been gone for about 20, maybe even 30 minutes from that snake. So we're slowly heading back in the direction of the snake. Just to see maybe he's come back out onto the road. We're not going to pester him too much. If he's not there, we're going to leave. And head towards the Birmingham Pride. So they managed to find them later on this morning. Probably closer on about 9:30, 10 o'clock. Looks like, or sounds like, it was all of the females and then the youngsters, the cubs. No males there, which I'm a little bit surprised about. I thought with all of their calling, they would have joined up. So Kai, puff adders, no, they do not really puff themselves up. They don't have sort of like a big hood, like something like a king cobra, a cape cobra, something like that. They got those hoods. So puff adder doesn't have that. In terms of its name, why it's called a puff adder, I don't actually know for certain. My sort of guess, I would say it's most likely maybe to do with the shape of the snake. So it's a very short snake. They don't get all that long. But they are very fat, so they look very puffy. Maybe Marcel says possibly got to do with the sound that they could make. It's made it sound something like that. Look, hopefully he will be back out there now. And you saw we just drove past some impalas. They were just feeding around here. But where we're going is an area that does have sort of impalas, wildebeest, and a lot of ground birds. So birds that are nesting on the ground. And that's why I think the puff adder was out there. Because I'll show you now when we head back there, you can see a trail on the road where this puff adder was slithering. Okay, it's a very interesting question from Lychee. Lychee, no, we do not have anti-venom on site. Exactly. So anti-venom is actually can be very dangerous in itself, you know. So there's a number of reasons. Firstly, anti-venom has to be stored in very strict conditions in terms of refrigeration, things like that. We don't have those sorts of facilities. It also needs to be administered by a doctor, which I am not, and no one at the lodge is. But also, you know, let's say you at the lodge and you walking to your tent or wherever it may be, and you get bitten by a snake. Now, this is your first time in Africa, you don't know any snakes, Lychee, and you just, one bites you and it slithers away, and your first thought is, you know, it looked dark. So you like black mamba. And you come to the lodge and you say to me, oh, Sean, I got bitten by a black mamba. So then I give you black mamba anti-venom. That can kill you. You know, because by all chances, it might have been a spotted bush snake, which is like a greeny color with little spots. But they are not venomous at all. So now I'm giving you anti-venom for something that you don't need. And the anti-venom can kill you. So there's a number of reasons why we don't have the anti-venom. Yes, as Marcel was just saying, no, it is also very expensive. It's a very costly thing to produce. So it costs a lot of money. And from what I understand is that a lot of the time these days they don't actually just give anti-venom. You'll go to the hospital or the reptile center, whatever it may be, and they will treat your symptoms. So every symptom that arises, they will then treat that, and they take it step by step like that. Because unless you come in with the snake.
So for a puff adder bite, for example, they actually cut the wound open.
So Marcel's saying for a puff adder bite, like the snake that we saw, they will cut the wound open.
Because basically what a puff adder bite causes swelling. And
Okay, so he's just holding there, Marcel. We got a comment from Sky or Kai Everett saying that they believe the puff adder had got its name because as a warning it will puff up its body and hiss. So I've never seen that happen before. I've never seen that sort of behavior. A lot of the time, you know, snakes are very sort of shy, reclusive animals. That's why we don't see them all that much. And they will actually slither away before attacking. And like this puff adder now, it was in the road, the car came and it moved off the road and went into that thicket, that grassy thicket there. And so you got to really pester the snake to maybe get that reaction of the puffing and the hissing, and I am not going to go around pestering a puff adder. So I've never seen that before. It was just a little bit further down those roads. So I'm just going to speed up a little bit before I send you back across to Djuma, just so we can have a look to see if that snake has come out. Because if it is on the road, again, it might move because of the car, so we just want to have a quick look before it does that. Because as I said, we don't want to pester it at all. But have a look here on the screen. You can see on our right hand side here, it is very open, it is very flat. Lots of ground birds in an area like this. There's also a few mongoose. And if the snake is an ambush predator, it can maybe catch a mongoose as it slithers, or as the mongoose runs past the snake. So there's just up ahead here. Now I can't see the snake in the road. Right here. There it is there, on the left hand side of the car, on the sandy section there. Myself, further left, just over the sand. We found it. Okay, it's over here, not moving. And very there, you can see it there. Absolutely beautiful. Look how fat its body is. Look at the patterns on it. Oh, that is incredible. What a beautiful you can see now with that sort of camouflage, that coloring. Oh, look at it moving there. Okay, and you can see now he's going into the grass. Now watch how quickly it disappears. And it's so different to what, see, watch how it's moving. It's not really slithering side to side. It's actually moving its scales. I don't know if you can see. If you look right at the edge by the tail there, you can see it's inching every scale forward and backwards, and that's how it's moving. They're not necessarily slithering. Very often you'll see a snake track down the road and it's a straight line. It's not a side to side to side to side. All snakes move differently. There's different forms of movement. And that's how the puff adder moves. But just incredible how quickly it blends in. Now you can understand why we struggled so hard at the beginning to actually find it. But fantastic, so beautiful to see. As I said, we don't see them often, incredible stuff. But we're going to leave them in there. We're not going to chase them. We're going to carry on. And in the meantime, we'll send you back across to Djuma.
Unfortunately, we didn't have any luck with Kuchava. The kill's not there. It's no longer hoisted. It's not in the tree. And there's just no sign of spots, I'm afraid. No tracks on the road, which makes me think they've probably gone deeper into the block. So we had to scratch around and sadly, no luck. But we have encountered a roadblock. And our presence doesn't seem to be affecting this roadblock. They look rather comfortable. And now I feel really guilty that I'm going to have to drive past them. But there's a lot going on here. Not only are we surrounded by wildebeest and impala, Ngala. We have 2 giraffes behind us. Oh, this one's just coming, BK. Look, can you see it? 3 giraffes. Sorry, I stand corrected. 1, 2, 3. They're moving, so it's a journey of giraffes. I feel like this is the party that I should have always been invited. And we've got some mongoose that we're going to show you in just a moment. It's beautiful. We're still on Chitwa. It's just stunning. There's so many animals all around us on this open clearing. Oh, some poor female impala has been chased. Sometimes I feel sorry for these poor impala. You can see this beautiful male. Oh, another one. Sorry, I stand corrected yet again. We have 4 giraffes. Another male, 2 males. Once they move out of view, we're going to turn around and show you our little business of mongoose here because they're so adorable. When they're watching us, I feel like they're waiting on some camera time. Okay, BK, are you ready to do a 180-degree swing around? He's going to go this way. There's a couple of mongoose just watching us. They were being very vocal earlier. Hello. We're literally surrounded by wildlife. They're vocalizing, I think, at us. Mongoose are very vocal. They communicate to each other within their little business, within their family, through vocalizations and smell, through scents. I think this is a youngster. This one's a young one. The smallest carnivore out here in the low veld. Are they hiding? I think they've gone camera shy. Lola, you're 9 years old from the UK. The hardest part of my job. What a good question. I have a fantastic job and we all work very hard out here. Very hard. We have a very diverse team. We're all from different places. We all bring different things. I think the hardest part... Can you hear my brain working very hard right now, Lola, to think of an answer? We put a lot of pressure on ourselves, Lola, to find things and to make sure we teach you something new every single day. Sometimes you find nothing. And we feel sad. We feel sad for ourselves, on ourselves for not being able to show you things. But we are out here, hail, rain, or shine. And sometimes the elements can be really, really hard. When it's raining, things are getting wet, you're cold, you're hungry. That can be hard. But it's all worth it, Lola. It's completely all worth it. Every job, I think, every career has its ups and downs. But I think facing and braving the elements, the little one, I think it's a youngster, it's a cow, is probably the hardest part of my job, Lola, if I was to be completely honest with you. That's what I'm going to go for. But we do put a lot of pressure on ourselves. And sometimes you have bad days, sometimes you have good days. And we work every single day out here, even Christmas Day, even New Year's Day, even our birthdays. We're always out here filming wildlife. And of course, I'm away from my family too. My family's in Scotland. Probably not too far away from you, Lola. And it's difficult being away from them. But it's all worth it. Okay, wildebeest, I am very sorry, but I'm going to have to, well, say excuse me. I wonder if they'll move. I'll drive very, very slowly. Don't worry. I don't want to scare them. But they are on the road. And you should always avoid off-roading. Off-roading means quite literally going off the road and driving on the vegetation. Because you don't want to... They're not moving. Toot toot! Ah, there we go. Thank you. Thank you ever so much. I need to go this way. There we go. Thank you, guys. I'm terribly sorry. I always feel guilty, but yes, we're not supposed to really drive off-road if we don't have a reason. Because you start to make new roads, you start to make tracks, you start to make pathways that really shouldn't be there. So there's actually rules for off-roading, and you're only supposed to go off-roads if you know that a predator is there. Or you at least have signs that a predator is there. You know, I don't always come to this part of Chitwa, but it's actually very, very beautiful. Shall we say hello to these ladies that look slightly traumatized? They're having a hard time at the moment, all these impala females being chased. But the impala male's behavior, not only his physical appearance, but the rise in his testosterone, his vocalizations, him becoming more territorial, actually causes a sort of biological effect on the females, and they go into estrus. So that's how it works. The environmental cues of the seasons and the moon causes the male's testosterone to rise, so it's an environmental cue that then impacts a biological cue, and the male's behavior then causes the females to go into estrus. And of course, when they are in estrus, they will be a lot more receptive to the male, because they have to be. Okay, I'm going to head to Chitwa Dam and see if anything exciting is going on near the waterhole. You never know. There's always something happening at Chitwa. And as I bumble around, we are going to send you back across to Mr. Henry on Djuma, see what he has for you.
I'm beginning to regret coming to the north. I've seen one dove since I last saw. Oh, there's a leopard and a buffalo. A leopard and a buffalo. The leopard is behind the buffalo. I promise. I just saw it. Oh my goodness! What a stroke of luck! Amazing. A leopard and a buffalo in one sighting. Can't believe it. Wow. Hi. Can you get out of the way, please? You are quite impressive. Not nearly as impressive as the leopard. Move. Step aside. I wonder what they were doing here. They must have been having a conversation. Or the leopard was stalking the buffalo. Did nobody else see the leopard? Did you see it? I mean, I don't know where it's gone. I am imagining it's Tlalamba. Apparently you've got it there, in the frame. Do you? Oh, yes, there it is. It is. The buffalo's taking exception to the leopard. Let's just go forward a bit. I take back absolutely everything I said about the northeast corner. The problem is now that buffalo is going to chase the leopard north of our reserve into Buffelshoek, and that's going to make me seriously ticked off. I'm pretty sure that must be Tlalamba. Right, let's leave this fat lump here. No offence in... No, don't go running around like a gormless twit. Leave the leopard alone. Go back to your puddle and lie in it. It's characteristic of Tlalamba, who is one of our very favourite leopards, that, you know, it's quite characteristic for her to do something like stalk a buffalo and just see if she can get close enough without him noticing. And I wonder if that's what she was doing when we came down the road. Gosh, that's a stroke of pure blind luck, that is. Take it any day. Where's the leopard gone? There she is. You see her there, Dave? Just to the right of the tree, and just behind the tree. There, just put her head down. Down and right, a little bit, and centre frame, there you go. Oh, very nice to see the buffalo as well. Now, James Richard, of course, will be able to identify this cat from just this view. I wouldn't dare. We're just going to let things calm down a little bit. The beefy is still around, staring at the situation. Sorry, Beef. I didn't mean to disturb you. James Richard confirming from what you can see on your screen there that we're looking at Tlalamba. I think you'll probably find that he's confirming it from the first view or second one. It's most unseemly for me to get as excited as I got by that, but I mean, that was just phenomenal luck. I wish we'd got there a little quieter without the buffalo having stood up, because I'd have loved to have known what on earth this cat thought she was doing. Now, for those of you who perhaps haven't seen this cat before, this cat that we're looking at now, or bit of cat that we're looking at now, is the sister of Guchava, who we looked at all morning, and therefore the auntie of Not Ned, the young male leopard who we were looking at, and daughter of Thandi. Huh. What a stroke of luck. She's now, of course, an aunt herself of two gorgeous little cubs. All right, now Tlalamba is a relaxed leopard, so we can probably approach a little closer. You don't need to only look at her two head spots. She's also often a very mobile leopard, so whether or not she'll tolerate us for long without rushing off and climbing a tree or doing something like that, I'm not sure. She's not sure if we can see her, you see. So she's staring staring towards us. We'll try and get a bit of height so that we can look down on her. Yes, we should get a nice picture now. There we are. Hello, madam. How's that? All right? What on earth were you playing at? No, Lindy, what we were not seeing there was a hunt. A single leopard cannot take down a buffalo. In fact, a great big army of leopards would struggle to take down a buffalo, especially one that size, and he was in good condition. So, given the fact that leopards seldom form armies, it's highly unlikely that a leopard would kill a fully grown buffalo. We have seen leopards on baby buffalo kills, and the last time I think I remember seeing that was when her grandmother, Karula, was mating with her father, Tingana, and they were on a reserve called Arathusa to the west of us, and during the mating process they had hunted a baby buffalo somehow. Poor old Beefy was having such a nice mud wallow. We know all of the leopards at Djuma, unless there is a vagrant that comes on to the reserve. So we know Tlalamba, we know Tandi, who's Tlalamba's mother, we know Shidulu, who's unrelated to them. And those are the three females that come on to Djuma. We know Tingana, who's her father. We know Morwati, vaguely, who comes in from the south. We know Hukumuri, who comes in from the west. And all of those leopards I've mentioned have got territories that extend beyond Djuma. And then we've just met, of course, Tandi's two new cubs. And they don't have names yet. We examined some more photographs that were taken by Vernon of Biffleshoek, and it does look like one is a boy and one is a girl. No, I don't think Tlalamba is a 3-3. As far as I remember, she's a 5-5, isn't she? Or am I getting mixed up? Let's just quickly look again. I think she's like her dad. That's how I always remembered it. Lift your head, little cat. Yeah, she's a 5-5. So what that means is that she's got 5 spots above the whisker line on her left and 5 spots above the whisker line on her right. Oh, that's a lovely find, hey? And even if she is going to sleep for most of the afternoon, we'll sit with her, we'll take it. Someone wrote to me today, and I've been getting some very interesting emails from people, many of you being very kind about the drives that WildEarth's doing and thanking us for what we do, and many of you also saying things like someone said today, and I'm sorry I've forgotten who it was exactly, just saying, you know, we've been on safari lots of times and the leopard's always been such a rarity, and it's been such a privilege to spend so much time with them over the last few days, and it really has. We've had some beautiful leopard sightings over the last 2 weeks or so, 3 weeks actually, and we've seen just about everybody we could have seen, I think. So that's great. I'm going to call this in on the Game Drive channel. Well, let's just see what she does. we go. Just sharpening her little claws. Not so little. And now a bit of marking of territory. And unfortunately she is right on the northern boundary. And it makes me think that she is going to go off north. And this is what I was saying, is that she does have a territory that extends beyond Djuma into the reserve north of us called Buffelshoek. Very, very unkind of her to move off. It's interesting, although she wasn't disturbed by the vehicle coming past from the point of view of being scared of it, it woke her up, and so she kind of got up and thought, oh, well, I better get on with things. Any stations mobile on Buffelshoek? Henry, we've got Tlalamba here at Hyena Road Junction, Buffelshoek cut line. She's mobile on the Buffelshoek cut line in an easterly direction. We'll just slowly drive along behind her and see what she does. For those of you who are wondering what that was, there's a game drive radio, and there are a number of private landowners to the north of us in Buffelshoek, and they go on game drive, and we call in sightings so that they can come and see them. There's also a squirrel. It's that spot at the front of your screen, and the squirrel has very clearly not seen the leopard just yet, I don't think. I'm not sure the leopard's seen the squirrel. I hope this is not going to be the last of our sighting, but I suspect it will be, unfortunately. Oh, there's the buffalo. Let's get a last look at Tlalamba. Is that right there? Well, not really. I think that's going to be all we get. I'll try and go past this little set of bushes. There she is, just going behind that bush. And she's gone north into Buffelshoek, about halfway between the quarry and the junction with Hyena Road, mobile in the northeasterly direction. Well, that was nice. Nice to see. All right, well, as Tlalamba disappears, let's go back across to Chitwa, where Lauren is, and find out what's happening that side.
Well done, James. We finally caught up with our Miss Tlalamba. A little bit too brief. Sorry, something just caught my eye and I just wanted to check it out. We have a policy on the vehicles that always check out everything, because your eyes can play tricks on you out here. If you really want to see a leopard, you'll be seeing spots everywhere. So the cameramen very often say, Lauren, can you just stop, reverse, I just want to check something. It's probably nothing, but let's check. So we have a policy. Always check, you never know. It might be a log, but it also might be a leopard. So I've not had much luck on that front, I'm afraid, but I'm thinking, because BK is back, we're going to introduce him to Cub 1 and Cub 2 from Miss Ribbon. He's very excited. So I think we're just going to slowly go there. You've got to get the timing right for Ribbon, I think. I think it's all about a timing thing. So we're just going to slowly meander and hopefully end up at the hyena den and introduce Beaks, as I like to call them, to the cubbies. And many of you are wondering, what sex are they and when will they be named? We'll definitely establish the sex first, And I think Cub 1 and Cub 2 is safe names for now. What I'd actually like to do is spend some time really looking at them, get good photos, get good screenshots to try and separate them. So at least we can identify who is Cub 1 and who is Cub 2. And of course get to catch up with Miss Ribbon. So that's where we're headed. Oh, you are magnificent. Hello, mister. You see the bull there, Beaks? A little bit hidden. Oh no, don't run. Oh, he's ran away. The kudu bulls at the minute are just incredible. They are so magnificent and so large with their spirally horns. But that one ran away. I do apologize. And Tandy was seen this morning in Torchwood with her cubbies, which is very sad. I got sent a video, but at least they're all doing well. And that's all we care about at this stage. They're doing very, very well. And my message said, Tandy is being such a great mother. She's so patient. It was from Pippa. So yes, one day, hopefully they'll cross over that eastern boundary and pop into Djuma. And BK also said to me, where is Tingana? I would love to know more than anything where Tingana is. And Hukamuri, Trishala got very lucky with Hukamuri last minute yesterday, has been spending a lot of time here. Rosie, you are from the USA. And you're asking, well, there's so many animals. What ones are my favorite? What a tricky question. I hate choosing favorites. I really do. But if I had to, Rosie, if I really, really had to, there's a spider here I want to try and find. That's why I'm looking to the side. I think I would say hyenas, my number one, and leopards. Hyenas and leopards. Oh, there's the web. It's been destroyed. Look at this. Oh, she's there. Can you see her, BK? Hello, girl. Rosie, this is another one of my favorites. Would you believe it? Never used to be. But that's the thing about teaching people about animals. Slowly but surely, once you learn about an animal, whether it's a fish or a slug or a nudibranch in the ocean or a turtle or a spider, once you really learn about their biology, their behavior, their ecology, how they survive, you actually start to appreciate them a little bit more, Rosie. And this is a golden orb web spider, and it's a female. How do I know it's a female? Well, the males look completely different, not remotely similar. Oh, there we go. Well done, BK. You haven't forgot a thing. That's the male in the background, Rosie. Can you see how, well, not similar they are in any way, shape or form? Yes, the females are huge. And sometimes, if they get a little bit hangry, a little bit grumpy, they eat the males. Yes. You go, girl. This web has been destroyed, though some things happen. I imagine a large herbivore has came through, an elephant, maybe a kudu, Ngala, and broken the web slightly. But she's still on it. It's still working in her favour. So, hyenas, leopards, golden orb web spiders. And if I was to tell you an ocean animal, it would be a manta ray. Manta rays are the most beautiful, beautiful oceanic creatures you could ever dream of. So the reason they're called golden orb web spiders is because, well, they can produce a pigment. Still haven't managed to find out what that pigment is. I want to know the chemical composition, but it changes the hue, changes the colour of the silk that they produce from their spinnerets. And the spinnerets are in a little sort of glandular hole on the other side of the abdomen, so we won't be able to show you it from here, but the silk comes out, and the silk is protein. It's made from different amino acids, and she can change the colour of the silk. So it can be very, very golden, or it can be just a little bit golden, or it can be, well, almost not golden at all. She actually can control how golden it is. And when you see it shining in the sunlight, it's said to be a sort of warning for birds or bigger animals because it's so visible and vibrant, especially when the sun is shining on it, that animals will see it and therefore not destroy the web. It takes a lot of energy to produce a web like this one. It's really no easy feat. and she will maintain it, she will repair it, she will build it. She will really, really look after the web. The web is everything to most spiders that produce webs. Not all do. Because it's where they catch their food, it's where they keep their food, it's where they rest, it's where they seek shelter, protection, and they've got the males hanging in there too. Isn't she glorious? At least I found us some spots, BK. She's yellow, she's spotty. We're doing good. I'd love to see a golden orb-web spider properly walking on the ground. They haven't evolved as ground walkers. That's why the sort of legs are completely out of proportion with the body. They're almost too long, if you like. And she clings on using fine hairs on her legs. She hasn't evolved to be a spider that walks along the ground and hunts on the ground. Some have. There's different classifications of spiders. But she is definitely not a ground walker. She's a web hanger, shall we say. She actually lives, she feeds, and she breeds in an upside down position like she is now. And resting. She's always upside down. And this is to save energy. It's all about energetics. Actually, every single organism in the world is all about energetics. Rora? You might need to repeat that, Natty. All I can hear is my voice in the background. Now I know how you all feel. You have to put up with that. Aura. Aura, you're asking why are the males so small? It's actually all about reproduction for spiders. Not every single organism. For example, the flower mantis has a similar ratio in terms of the size difference between male and females, but it's for a different sort of reason along the lines of evolution. But for spiders, the male is smaller because it doesn't need to be bigger. It costs a lot of energy to be her size. She's huge. She is big for reproductive reasons. The bigger she is, the more eggs she can produce, and she can successfully sort of continue on her bloodline. He doesn't need to produce eggs. He doesn't need to be big. Otherwise, he would end up spending a lot of energy. So he's small, he's quick, he can camouflage, he can move faster than her, and it benefits him to be smaller, and it benefits her to be larger. But he is at risk of being eaten. There's a few sort of organisms that are very well known for sexual cannibalism, which sounds bizarre. Flower mantises are one of them, actually, and golden orb webs are the other. So the male has a tough time trying to mate. It's not easy, because especially once they have mated, he risks losing his life. So he has lots of special tactics tucked up his sleeve to avoid that. Okay, so we're going to head on to the hyena den now. We're going to leave our little girlfriend here, and you guys are going to head all the way across to andBeyond in Ngala to get an update from Sean.
We are on our way to the lions. I told you earlier. They managed to find them, so we are now on the way there. We got an update from Rowan on tracks of the males, we believe to be one of the Ross males. And funnily enough, the tracks head right up to the tented camp. We got like a little wetland for our grey water and all of that. And he had a sleep right there next to our grey water area, our wetland. And then it looks like he got chased by elephants. And from there, we're not 100% sure where he went from there. So what we thought now is let's go to the Pride, see what they're doing, see what they're up to, who's there, who's not there. And then when it gets a bit darker and the males start to get more active, hopefully it will call. And we'll head back in that direction, see who it is, how he looks, see if we can learn anything more. But now, from this Pride, as I said, it sounds like it's just the females and the cubs. Apparently they had a waterbuck carcass, but it was just the baby waterbuck calf, so it is most likely finished. But while we try and find it, what we're going to do is send you back across to James, who has got a bird.
Yes, we've got a bird. And this particular bird is a bronze-winged courser. A bronze-winged courser has the world's greatest bird call. Not the most attractive one, but definitely the world's greatest one. And I'm now going to play it for you, very quietly, hopefully so that this bird does not hear it. You don't often see them like this because they're nocturnal, and very often they are not standing out in the sun, you know, they're trying to hide. So you can hear that now, I don't think he can. Isn't that cool? Interestingly, or not so interestingly, that particular call was recorded on the ground at dusk in May in Nigeria by someone called C. Chapuyis in Nigeria, of all places. Can you believe it? I cannot believe it. It's amazing. It's not doing a great deal this quarter. The lighting is very pretty on it, yes, as Natalie is saying. Now, I've seen this bird in exactly this position before, so unless this is just a kind of hangout for bronze-winged coursers during the lockdown period, I suspect that it's probably a nesting site. I always like to just quickly scroll down and check what they're called in other languages, because sometimes it's rather amusing. Yes, wildlife Pete, they are definitely related to plovers. The coursers are very closely related to, or lapwings rather than the plovers. So the blacksmith lapwing and the crowned lapwing and the bronze-winged courser would be very similar. I'm going to give you the name of this bird in German now. Bronzeflügel Rennvogel, but in French it is a very long word. Curvite à ailes violettes. Curvite à ailes violettes. I don't know what that means. I'm sure I've got it all wrong. And then in Afrikaans, bronsvlerk draverkie. Or bronsvlerk draverkie. Bronze-winged courser. Very nice. Alex in South Africa. Some male and female birds are exactly or are very easy to tell apart because they have different coloration. Some are bigger than others. In the raptors, the female is normally bigger than the male, and so they're quite easy to tell apart. But in birds like the bronze-winged courser, Latin name Rhinoptilus chalcopterus, fascinating. These sexes are alike, and if you look at the Roberts Bird Field Guide app that I have, they tell you that immediately in the first line of the description. So it says sexes alike. So you can't tell male from female here unless you are able to dissect the bird, in which case it would probably have to be dead. In fact, it would most certainly have to be dead. And even then, you'd probably have to be fairly well versed in bird anatomy in order to discern the male bits from the female bits. He looks fairly unimpressed. Well, Bill, it's standing so still. Bill, it's standing so still because it's attempting to remain hidden, unfound. It knows that if it moves, it will be discovered. And as far as it is aware, we cannot see it. We have just stopped here, perhaps for sundowners, or to look at a bit of grass, or to shoot the breeze with you. And it thinks it's very clever standing there very still. Because currently it is convinced that it is invisible. It is, of course, deluded. It is a deluded bronze-winged courser. Maurizia, I'd pretty much say that that's an adult bronze-winged courser. I have no reason to believe that it's a sub-adult. It looks to me to be of adult size, adult coloration. It might be a young adult. It might be deeply aged. It might be a great-grandmother by this stage. But I can't tell. Well, this is certainly the longest bronze-winged courser sighting I've ever had in my life. I think we'll push on from here. Thank you, bronze-winged courser. Maybe it's a stuffed bird, and that's why I've seen it in the same place. Certainly the amount of activity it displayed during that segment would indicate that it is in fact stuffed and nailed to its perch. Let's head across to Lauren now. I can actually hear her chatting away with BK over there.
James can hear us? I have no idea where James is, actually. But he probably can hear us. Vicky and I are chatting. We've got a lot to catch up on. But I am slowly making my way to the den now. Cutting across from the eastern side, going in central. And it's time to catch up with Ribbon. I think it's perfect timing before the sun goes too low and it gets too cold for the cubbies. The temperatures are really, really dropping now. Winter is here. So we want to get to that den in time. Now, one thing I hadn't noticed, and it's just an observation, you're always welcome to hornbills. You're always welcome to disagree with me. Hyena cubs are born striving for dominance. They can't both have the same rank. It's not possible. I'm not comfortable with you on the road, Mr. Ring-necked Dove. I get scared when the birds land on the road like this. And it's an innate drive to strive for dominance. One has to be more dominant than the other. Whether one will be much weaker and one will be stronger, and that's just how it is for hyena cubs. But I haven't really noticed this pair, and I mean, we've not spent too much time with them because they've only just started coming out of the den. But I haven't noticed this pair really sort of battling it out too much. I haven't really noticed them fighting or bullying, as some scientific papers call it. One will always try to exert his dominance, and I haven't really observed that with our hyena cubs yet. Maybe we will. Maybe the battle's already maybe it's already been decided who's dominant and who's submissive. Or maybe it's yet to come. But at the age they're at, approaching 6 weeks, you would think you would see them battling now. When I say battling, it's not battling to the death or anything like that, but they're proving to each other who's stronger. So I'll be interested to see, as we spend more time with these cubs, exactly who's going to be the dominant one. We might need to pick up speed to make it for golden hour. Adara, their spot pattern will become visible at around 3 months. So they're 6 weeks old now, roughly, give or take, we're guessing. And at 3 months old, you'll start to see that their dark hair will turn very, very light and the spot pattern will be visible. The spot pattern's actually already there. And it doesn't change from sort of a cub into adulthood, which is a good thing. So when you're trying to identify an animal, you must make sure that the spot pattern doesn't change, or the scale pattern, or the patch pattern, or whichever animal you're looking at, it must remain the same throughout the animal's life. And then you can positively ID them using the spot pattern. So at around 3 months, the rest of the hair will become very, very faint, light brown, just like ribbons, and the spot pattern will be very visible to us. It'll be exciting to see what they're going to look like. But we have got about another 6 weeks to go before we start to see those changes. BK and I have covered a good portion of the reserve today. We've driven a lot of roads. So all these little pans here, I always check the pan. Oh, this one's not looking very delicious at all, is it? Is that a go-away bird having a drink, BK? Oh, it was. It's just flown away. A grey go-away bird. Go away! Go away! Yes, not too happy. But these little pans that are scattered all around the reserve, as we go further into winter, they'll disappear completely. And this one that we're looking at right now is green, is algae. There's no inflow of water, so it becomes very, very stagnant. There'll be very little oxygen in there. It's most likely anoxic, which means void of all oxygen. And that's how algae was using all the nutrients it has probably came from rhino poo, elephant poo, all the delicious feces that are inside. And all these pans will start to dry up, which means we will see a higher concentration of predators in the bigger water holes. So I really am almost at the den. The next time you see me, hopefully I'll be there. But you guys are going to go back across to Sean for now for an update.
Okay, so we have managed to find those lions again. They're just through the gap here. We're just trying to find ourselves a position where we can see them. Oh, let's be careful where we go here. So you can see just off to our right hand side. I'm going to stop over here. How's that, Marcel? Okay, so here you can see the Birmingham Pride. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we got 4 of the females. You can see looking stunning with that golden sun coming out the back there. That is beautiful. So it sounds like there's some impalas. I thought it was another lion for a second there, but it sounds like there's some more impalas further back into the bushes. That's where all these lionesses turn their heads towards. One of the impalas ratting, a male impala further inside there. But it looks like they have eaten. You can see that little white one on the screen there. That one is white. It's quite dark around the chest, the front. And they're all breathing fairly quickly. You can see both the white one and the one on the left of the screen. That you can just make out that stomach moving very, very, very quickly. Oh, so look at this. So now what's happened? They can hear the impalas fighting. So it looks like this female might go and try and hunt one of these ratting impalas. If you think about it, it makes perfect sense. Because let's say it's 2 males fighting each other. They're very distracted. They're making a lot of noise. You know, they're running around. They're not very alert of their surroundings, which makes it the perfect opportunity for a lioness like this, who is very experienced, knows exactly what she's doing, to see if she can get a bit closer, see if she can make use of this opportunity. You know, we've been saying lions, they're very opportunistic animals. And 2 ratting impalas in an area like this, look how thick it is, where she's heading. An area that thick, it is a perfect opportunity. So we're going to see, look at the focus. See that? Picking up her pace. Now we're not going to follow, because if we go in there, we start the car, we drive over some branches, and we could give their position away. So we're just going to wait here, we're going to listen, and we're going to see what happens. But you see how quickly that changed? You see how quickly they all got up from lying down, looking fast asleep, to all of them being up, being alert, moving like that. And there was no noise from the lions. There was no, okay, I'm getting up and I'm going. She just went, and the rest of the lions, they sensed it, they heard her footsteps, they knew an opportunity, and now they're waiting and they're listening. See, listen carefully. So I'm not sure if you can hear that, but there's two impalas there. So the impalas are alarm calling. Sounds like two, possibly even three. Sounds like they would have seen that lioness. That's why these other ones have turned around and come back. We've got a question from Hannah. Now Hannah, at the age that these cubs would join a hunt, they would start going on the hunt around about now, between a year and a half, maybe 2 years. The cubs would join on a hunt. They wouldn't be all that useful. You know, they would most likely give out a number of be the cause of a number of unsuccessful hunts, because they don't really know what they're doing in experience, but they will join, they will follow, they will watch. In terms of actual participation in bringing down a buffalo or a wildebeest or something like that, they would be 2 years and older. And that's when they're a bit bigger, they're a bit stronger, they can actually be constructive members of a hunt, you know? So they'll probably start going, watching, joining from just under 2 years, a year and a half, 2 years, and then actually participating in the hunt just over 2 years. You know, because it's important for them to watch. You know, now you saw that one female went, the cubs sort of moved in that direction, but they didn't go too far. They stopped because they know they're still in that sort of behavioral phase where they're not going to join in the hunt, so they just sit here. As they're getting older, they'll go further and further and watch from a distance, and then only actively participate just over 2 years. Where'd you see that? That female, she's now back. She's the one that's standing up there grooming. Quick opportunity. She thought, let's go have a go. Went in there. Obviously, it didn't work out. The impala saw her. They called. And now she's back. Okay, so we've got a question from Meredith, who I believe is in New Zealand. Meredith's 7 years old. Meredith, how close am I? So the closest lion to me is maybe 5 to 7, maybe 7, 8 meters away from me. Is the closest one, but it's fast asleep, hasn't even lifted up its head. And why aren't they attacking us? Meredith, they just don't see us as food. You know, so a lot of them, you know, they grew up here and they've had the vehicle coming in. And, you know, so these cubs, like the one there, that white one, and there's the other one yawning, when they were little, you know, and we're talking 2.5, 3 months old, they started seeing the cars. Now, the cars obviously are very big, it's a very loud thing. And so, instinctually, they're actually generally afraid, and they will move to their mother or into a thicket to hide. But then they watch the parents. You know, the mother's very relaxed, she just lies there, ignores the car. So the cub then learns the car is not a threat. You know, it never sees the mother run from the car, never sees the mother run at the car, never sees the mother hunt the car or attack the car. And the cubs will learn that behavior. So they learn from their parents, and they pass that sort of information on to their cubs and their cubs and their cubs to just ignore the vehicle. You know, often we get that sort of question, you know, why is it safe, and, you know, all of that. I don't have a door, but, you know, it's perfectly fine. It's because these lions, these animals, are used to the vehicles. Now, they're not used to people. If you had to walk this close, they would most likely attack you, kill you, and eat you. So they're not used to humans. They're just used to the car. That's why we stay in the car all the time. When you're tracking on foot, you're never ever going to get this close to a lion. At least not happily get this close. But it is amazing. You know, we can sit here, we can talk, I answer your questions, we can cough, sneeze, laugh, anything you want. And the lions are able to differentiate those sounds as coming from the car and not another animal, not a natural sound. You know, my talking, they don't look. That impala rutting, they know immediately that's potential food. You know, if I turn the car on and I drive over a branch, the lions ignore it. But if we're on a hill and the car rolls and cracks a branch, the lions react. Because now they're like, ooh, a branch broke. It wasn't the car, because the car's got no noise. It might be an animal, and then they're up and they look. The animals are very, very intelligent. Very, very clever. We try and understand, and we come up with a whole lot of theories and ideas, and you know, you watch their behaviors and you come to certain conclusions. But it's obviously hard. So MGN, yes, that is very likely. An unhabituated lion will very likely run away from a car. It is very likely. Also, if these animals have had bad experiences with cars, they will run away or run at the car. You know, we never drive directly at the lion. We never drive very, very close to the lions. If they have food, you know, we never drive up to the carcass and sort of chase the lions away, because then they start associating the car with bad things. So MGN, depending on these animals' previous experiences with vehicles, they may run away or they may run at the car. We see a number of, mainly with leopards being very secretive animals. In the western part of andBeyond Ngala, when you see a leopard from 100 meters away, as soon as it sees the car, it runs. And that's just because it doesn't see the car often. It's not habituated. So yes, for sure. And it would be lions, leopards, hyenas, wild dogs, elephants, all animals, zebras, giraffe. If they're not used to seeing cars, they will run from the car. The car's a scary thing. But you can see, good timing for that little burst of activity, that little attempted hunt, things like that. But now they're lying down. We're going to sit here, spend some time, see what happens. In the meantime, sounds like Lauren has got to the hyena den.
I am at the hyena den with 2 hyenas, one being Ribbon, and this one here I have not managed to ID yet. All I can see is a ginormous belly. So I just wanted to quickly show you this individual who's positioned themselves a little bit far away from the den, giving space. But I really don't know at this stage who it is. If any of you hyena experts know, you're welcome to share, but I need a spot pattern to go with in a little bit more detail than this. And I'm just considering the best place to position for Ribbon. Now she's snoozing with another ginormous belly, but I think she'll get up. There's going to be a patience test here once again. I do think the cubs will come out at some point. So BK, do you think I should go up here or reverse? Okay, we're going to try and go forward for a view of Ribbon. She's not in her usual spot. It must have been too hot there. So let me just try and very, very gently go forward. Hello. We're not going to have the best views of her, but that's okay. Okay. Can you get any view from here, Becky? No. Let's reverse. Hi, Ribbon. Why are you being difficult today? There we go. Can you see her? So it's not the best views, but I am going to stay here. I am going to stick it out and hope that she calls the cubs soon and they come bounding out. They're at the stage where they wait for mom to call. It's normally a vocalization, and then the cubbies will come out. They may be awake in there, they may actually be wrestling in there, you never know, but they wait for mum's instructions. It's too dangerous to come out at this size, at this age, without mum being there. And why it sort of works this way is, imagine if there was a predator here. Imagine if there was a leopard, and the sound of an animal moving outside the den makes the cubs think it's mum, but it was actually a leopard. So the cubs come out. That, of course, could end in disaster, and that's why they wait until they're called. Now, I think it's Kerry. You're asking, what do hyenas eat? Kerry, they eat everything. Everything and anything that they can get their hands on, they will eat. They have been known to finish off all sorts of delicacies in our camp. We're really into baking right now. I made a coffee banana bread last night. You missed it, BK. He's eyeballing me here. I'll make you another one, don't worry. Trishala's been making cinnamon swirls and, oh goodness, a cheesecake. Some very interesting cheesecake. Mr. Alex Voss has been making fresh sourdough bread every single morning. What other desserts have we been having? Well, we've been having a lot. I made a sweet potato brownie. Yes, you heard that. Sweet potato brownie. It was actually delicious. Anyway, the hyenas are known to come into our camp and clean up everything. They, of course, are known to crush through bones. They have a really high calcium content in their diet because they do eat bones. Their stomach acid is designed to actually process it. So they have such a strong stomach acid, which means it's very low on the pH scale. It's very, very acidic, more acidic than any other predator out here. And that is why they're able to sort of blast anything that comes into their stomach. And what I mean by that is that the hydrochloric acid is so potent that anything that does go into their stomach is immediately broken down. And that's why they are able to eat almost anything. This sort of higher gastric acidity destroys any pathogenic bacteria, any virus that would maybe be ingested with carrion, and that's why hyenas have actually been very successful. They've avoided rabies, which could have been a potentially, well, it's fatal. It could have wiped out populations of hyenas, and anthrax, canine distemper, which of course have affected the likes of lions, wild dogs, but hyenas seem to escape these diseases. And it's said to be because of their stomach acid. Or that's the start of the process, at least. Erica, it would only be ribbon that would call them. It's a vocalization. So hyenas are said to be very, very intelligent. They have quite complex cognitive abilities. And there was a study recently with hyenas compared to chimps. And they did problem-solving skills. I don't quite know what the tests were, but there was lots of different problem-solving skills. They gave the same problems to chimps as they did to hyenas. And hyenas were said to perform remarkably better. And by better, I mean they were quicker at solving the problem. And they also did it completely silently. Whereas the chimps that were involved did it using vocalization and communications. So they're said to be incredibly intelligent animals, and they can recognize every single individual in their clan's vocalization. And considering that hyenas each have 14 different types of vocalizations, that's 14 times every single individual in your clan. If you have a small clan, then of course it's a lot easier than having a very, very large clan. So the hyena cubs will know mum's call. From the minute they are born, all they will know is mum's smell, mum's nipples, and mum's call. That's all they'll know. So they will only respond to that. No other hyena in the Djuma clan would try to call out the cubs. They maybe hang around, they maybe spend time at the den, but they wouldn't try to call them out using vocalization. It would only be ribbon that would do that. And the cubs, even at 6 weeks old, they're not 6 years, would be able to identify their mum. So we're going to wait it out here, and hopefully Beaks can meet the cubbies. And while we do that, we're going to send you back across to the Birmingham Pride with Sean.
So they have all gone very lazy. They've all become very lazy. As you can see, as I was saying earlier, their stomachs are very full. I mean, you can see that one right at the back. If I use, oh, there's my hand. There's my hand. So that one over there, you can see very full stomach, breathing very, very quickly. Now that's from what they ate earlier. Judging by how full all of them are, I would say that the waterbuck is what they ate. Must have been quite large. Maybe actually an adult female, or at least an older female. And so they're very, very content now. Temperatures dropped, become a lot cooler. On the way in here, we saw a number of places where they have been sleeping throughout the day, just following the shade. And this is obviously their current position. And they might spend a while here. We're going to sit here, mainly because the lighting is just beautiful, stunning. The sun coming through the trees, the greenery of the grass with a little bit of brown grass before. So it looks really stunning, and they should get up a little bit later. I'm also secretly hoping that we're going to hear those males roar and hopefully get some sort of reaction from the rest of these lions. But while we've been sitting here, you won't be able to see, but there's been a whole lot of vultures that have been landing further off to our left, and we believe that is where they must have killed that waterbuck. On the way in, we didn't see the carcass, so there must be very, very little left. Maybe just some stomach lining, some intestines, something like that. And that's what the vultures would be feeding on. Okay, so we got a question. I think the name was either Zinton or Linton. Zinton. Wanted to know how many kills a day a pride like this will do. So these lions will eat, well, if we think about it, so they ate today, and then Eric saw them eating that wildebeest. So that was, 2 days ago? So at least every 2 days they will hunt. But both those food sources are fairly small. A wildebeest is big enough. They can go, I would say, on average, they will hunt every 2 to 4 days. If they catch something like a waterbuck like this, it's not going to feed them for a very long time. They might hunt again in 2 days. They caught a buffalo. They'll eat a buffalo for 2 days, 2.5 days. Will take them to eat the whole thing. And then they could probably go 3 or 4 days without eating again. So it depends a lot, Zinton, on what they eat. But it will be on average between every 2 to 4 days. I mean, here we just saw they ate 2 days ago, they ate today, and this one lioness still trying to hunt. So depends on I've seen this pride. Brenda, no. There is, from my understanding, no truth in that statement. Waterbuck meat is perfectly edible. I've seen hyenas eat it. I've seen, these lions ate it. It is perfectly fine. It is true that the waterbuck do have an oil sort of in their skin on their coats, which helps sort of waterproof them. But that does not affect the meat for these animals. They are perfectly capable of eating it. It's a great food source. The waterbuck are big animals. You get a big male, he's a few 100 kilograms. So it's a perfect food source. That theory is, the animals don't know about it, at least. This pride, as I was saying, very opportunistic. I've seen them eating a buffalo. Like, there was still at least half the buffalo left, and another buffalo walked past, and they tried to catch that buffalo as well. So, they will eat many things, anything. They really don't care. They will scavenge food as well. It's not a problem for them. The ones that might get quite picky would be maybe a leopard. They like fresher meat compared to, older, dried out types of meat. And they still scavenge, but they prefer the fresher food. Where lions, especially the males, they will scavenge anything. They will eat anything they can find. You know, they're out patrolling. They don't have time to hunt the young male now. He's injured. If he comes past a leopard on an impala, he will chase the leopard and he will eat that impala. But while we watch these sleeping lions, it sounds like Taylor has some impalas chasing each other.
Gosh, isn't that open? To the right more? More to the right? Yeah. Oh my goodness, we're back everybody. In case you missed us or worried that we had disappeared, we haven't. We've been searching for the cheetah, the boys as well as the female with the 2 cubs all afternoon. But sadly, no joy, just tracks. What we have found, however, is a herd of impala and quite a boisterous male. But these are the girls just trying to mind their own business and go about eating. You can see they shoot their heads up every time this ram snorts. You can hear him as he gurgles along. So this is quite a hot spot because we're near a watering hole. So everybody wants this area. So he's constantly chasing other males away. And you wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't last very long and new males come in on the regular mating with these girls. Now the rest of the herd is luckily enough moved off already. They've escaped some of the boys' shame. They're really under some serious pressure at the moment. Every time one of the rams chase them around and try to mount them, they run for their lives. They don't seem to be too willing this afternoon. You can see them all gathered over there, but it's ended up being an absolutely gorgeous afternoon with the sun almost setting behind the Drakensberg and the colors starting to change now to those soft oranges. And the mountain has turned blue, which is really beautiful. You're going to, there we go. There's our favorite view. It's so peaceful. And we've been stopping and listening a fair amount to see if we can hear anything, any alarm calls. But it's been relatively quiet on the reserve, other than those blood-curdling calls of the impala. It must be quite terrifying. Can we have another look at the impala, please? I think we're out of sync. Yeah, sorry. No, it's okay. Audio issues. So not too much happening this afternoon. We have got the researchers out helping us, though. They're trying to follow the male cheetah tracks. They look relatively fresh, but they've been moving all afternoon. I'm surprised they didn't come through this area because there's so much food and it's quite open. It would have been a good opportunity for them to stretch their legs. But that does not seem the case. Or we have yet to find a carcass. I can hear crashing through the bushes. I'm waiting for another impala to come through. Cam Hopper, that's a fantastic question. I'm not sure because I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly how many times one female has to be mated with in order to sort of take to his sperm and the sperm find his way to one of her eggs. I haven't got a clue how many times that would take, but I would imagine the more experienced male impala would be slightly more accurate and have a higher success rate, where these sort of young upstarts that are trying to sneak in when the more experienced boys are but on the tired side. Remember, the more experienced males will be the fitter and the stronger males, and they would probably be mating with the females when they're most receptive and when they're in the sort of highest point of their estrus cycle. And then you'll get the less experienced boys who think that they're big and strong and super powerful and have mating rights this year, might mate when it's too late, but they probably wouldn't know will be none the wiser. That's where the rest of the herd is, all hiding away down there in the bushes. And there are a couple of young males around there too. So every time I've ever seen impala mating, there's a big boy too. Oh, they're right on top of each other today. The girls are actually, the rest of the herd is on their way now. Quickly, now we could run into some trouble because this male has managed to wrangle those 3 girls, and now I think he's seen his opponent on that other breeding herd that we just saw in the distance. He's going, no, come back. I haven't quite let you go. Oh, here comes a battle because the male from the left is now charging out. He's got his tail cocked. He's snorting. Oh, this could be in trouble. Hopefully the bushes won't get in the way. There he is. He's rounded up his girls and said, "Come on home, ladies." Look at him. He's such a show-off. No, not much of a battle at all. That male on the left seems to be very confident in himself, charging around and not really paying the male to the right any attention. Perhaps he's given up and said maybe both of us can look after this herd. Who knows? Stranger things have happened in the wild. Right, we're going to continue looking for the cheetah before the sun is set. Off you go back to James and the Sabi Sand.
So what we did was we just thought we'd pop past the old kill site and see what was going on here. There'd been alarm calls around the area this morning, and we didn't really expect to find young Guchava here in the tree, but there she is. So, well, I know we've spent a lot of time with her over the last 3 days, but I can't imagine too many of you will object that strongly if we spend a little bit more time with her. Yes? Good, fantastic. Nice to know. She is so satisfied with her day. I think her whole week's work, really. In the background, you can hear the knocking of the bearded woodpecker. Oh, Frankie, do you mean the facial spot pattern or the whole body spot pattern? Let's go with both, because it might take you a while to send through a reply and for us to filter it through. So the same spot pattern, i.e. the same number of spots left and right for the whisker spot pattern, absolutely. She's a 3-3, her son is a 3-3, Hosana was a 3-3, is a 3-3, Tandi's a 3-3, lots of leopards are 3-3s. But in terms of the overall pelage, I think it's the only way for two leopards to have exactly the same spot pattern would be for them to be monozygotic twins. And I don't know if that ever happens. I have not seen it. I don't think it happens. So I think litters are always fraternal twins or triplets. I don't think that a monozygotic twin is possible, but I might be wrong. A monozygotic twin, by the way, just means an identical twin. So it's where the embryo splits in two, as opposed to a fraternal twin, which is 2 eggs. So it comes from 1 egg and 1 sperm, and that's why you get identical twins. I've not seen it in any leopard that I've ever known. So I don't know if it's possible. Well, just to Kuru, I'd say that this leopard, after her big fat meal, secure around here, probably will sleep in the region of 16 hours a day. I think they definitely sleep less than lions. Tingana, the male leopard, certainly sleeps probably almost more than lions, but I think she probably sleeps less than that. You know, I've seldom been in a sighting with a female leopard where for 3 hours she'll do nothing, she'll just sleep. Whereas with a male leopard, I have definitely done that. She's having a dream. What I'm rather hoping is that young Not Ned might come and wander up the tree as he did yesterday around about this time. I suspect that he is supping on what was left of the carcass. Rosina, you're wondering where Not Ned is. I'm pretty sure he's in the bushes close by. Don't worry, everybody. In case you're panicking that his name will be Not Ned, we'll give him a name that means beautiful or magnificent sometime soon. Look at her. She's the picture of satisfaction, I'd say. And just by the way, if you are wondering who will name this male leopard, it will not be us, as far as I'm aware. It certainly won't be me. He'll probably be named by the guide who found him first. I don't know who that is. What she's doing is watching a small herd of waterbuck walking behind. Tariq, if it was up to WildEarth, we'd name leopards almost before they were born. But most of the guides here are of the opinion that a leopard should only really be named at a year old, because that means that there's, it's past the major trials of life and it's got a relatively good chance of surviving. I'm not sure if that's logical or not. It makes absolutely no difference to the leopard whatsoever. So, I think you should name leopards whenever you want to name them. But it's normally, the tradition around here is about a year. So now some impala also coming out. This is quite interesting. I don't think they've seen the cat yet. There they are. There we go. Or they've seen the baby. Doesn't look like the impala's looking towards the cat. Yes, I think it's seen the tail twitching in the top of the tree. She's not going to hunt from there. All right, let's go over to the hyena den and see what's happening there.
Well done on finding Kuchaba, James. We looked everywhere on Chitwa. I have no idea where that girl was hiding, but interesting dynamics with the den. We now have 3 hyenas. I believe one that we showed you earlier was Hart. I think it was Louis, you identified Hart. Thank you so much. But the one on the right here is a new hyena. And I still haven't got an ID. Look at that. Oh, life is tough. It's been a long night. This hyena approached the den and tried to stick its head in the den entrance, and I've never seen this before. Ribbon was up quicker than lightning and chased this hyena away with vocalizations and teeth baring. This hyena got a fright, ran into a tree trying to escape her, and has now lay down and gone to sleep. Obviously a little bit ashamed of one's self by hiding its face. That is how protective Ribbon is of the den right now. Those cubbies are still in that home. She's still sleeping, I'm afraid, which is not great news. Hoped she would be up by now. And she's very protective over it. She's not letting any other clan member go too close to that entrance. So BK is going to give you a view there. That's perfect. Those hyenas are over there and the den is here. So there's quite a distance between them. They're giving Ribbon space. She's not letting anyone get onto the termite mound. So even though it looks like she's sleeping, at any moment Ribbon can get up and go protect her cubs. a fierce mother in action. I've never seen that before. It was fascinating to witness. But that poor hyena ran into a tree. That wasn't fascinating. That was sad. So what's happening here? She's letting other hyenas come around. So it's starting to become a bit more of a communal den over time. It wasn't those first 4 weeks, absolutely not, the first 5 weeks, but it's slowly starting to become a communal den where they can all congregate. They're social animals. They like to be in one another's company. They're part of the same clan. So they're all congregating, if you like, for snooze time at the den, but they're still keeping their distance out of respect because they know that Ribbon has little cubs inside. Fascinating dynamics. It really is. Meredith, you're 7 years old, and no, hyenas are not a type of dog. They're not part of the dog family, which is known as Canidae. When you're talking about dogs, you'll talk about the Canidae family of animals, which has 34 different species in it. Now, hyenas are actually part of their own family called Hyaenidae, and there's 4 different species in that family. There's the spotted hyena that we're looking at right now, the brown hyena, the striped hyena, and an aardwolf. So 4 of them are part of the Hyaenidae family, and they're actually more closely related to the cats, the Felidae, than they are the dogs. If you had to compare the two, they're closer to Felidae than they are Canidae, Meredith. What a good question. So no, they do look like dogs though, and sometimes I feel they behave like dogs. But they're actually not closely related to dogs at all. Their closest relatives, would you believe it, we actually saw at the start of the drive on Chitwa, and that's a dwarf mongoose. The mongoose family are actually the hyena's closest relatives. They don't really look alike, but they're all part of an order, Meredith, called Carnivora, which means they're carnivores, they are flesh devourers, and they eat other animals. Eric, I believe they do. You're asking about the organ of Jacobson. And the organ of Jacobson is an organ, as many of you can gather, that contains lots and lots of chemoreceptors. And these chemoreceptors are there. I don't know. What did they hear? It was alert for some reason. Yes, these chemoreceptors taste chemicals in the air, if you like. I always say taste the smell, which I know doesn't make much sense, but they analyze the chemicals, pheromones, hormones, any scent in the air. So a lot of mammals and reptiles and many other organisms use this organ to understand what's going on in the environment around them. And the chemoreceptors then transmit this message to the brain so that they can actually understand what it is that they're smelling. And that's how a lot of animals navigate their world. So most mammals do have them, and I believe that hyenas do have an organ of Jacobson, and it's positioned, or located, should I say, on the palate, the roof of their mouth, connected to their nasal passage. So I'm still going to sit tight here. I'm still going to hope that this pays off and the cubbies come out. But as we wait very, very patiently, we're going to send you back across to Sean and see what he's up to.
So we still with our very lazy sleeping lions. We had a little bit of a head-up activity. I think you know. Yep, there we go. You're looking at the young white guy who's got his head up. He is currently the most active out of the whole pride. And he's looking down towards where I told you all of those vultures were landing. He's looking there now. He's been watching the vultures. And it's a very important thing. You know, you'll see a lot of lions actually watch vultures. Where vultures descend, it means there's food. They know that that food's finished because that's what they ate. That's where their kill is, so that's why they're not going over there to investigate. but under general circumstances, they would go and follow and head towards where the vultures are landing and see if there's anything that they can scavenge, anything that they can steal. But they're very lazy now. We've had a number of discussions since we've been here, and we think that this pride is going to be being extra lazy because Roxanne, they do not. So Roxanne wanted to know if the other lions treat the white ones differently, and no, they all get treated equally. There's no discrimination here, none that I have seen. They all feed at the same time, they all participate evenly. There hasn't been any different treatment for the little white ones. Not yet, at least. Maybe when they're older, the white ones obviously have difficulty blending in, difficulty hunting, so they might need to adapt certain behaviors towards that. But in terms of treatment from parents and sisters and aunts and that sort of thing, there has been nothing different, Roxanne. They're still living the normal life. But what I was going to say is they're probably going to be very, very lazy. So we're going to spend a couple more minutes with them, see if there is any sign of activity. But if not, what I'm wanting to do is head back towards where we had the tracks of the male lions. Now it's cooling down a lot, it's getting darker. I'm hoping for some vocalizations, some callings from any of the males that we're looking for, so we can try and pinpoint where they are before it gets too dark. So, interesting question. Car keys to crater. I want to know, how old are lions when they first roar? So, it depends on your terminology or your classification of roar. So, this young male here that you had on the screen there, that young guy, he is roughly a year and a half. And about 2 weeks ago, Marcel? We saw them in the river? 2 or 3 weeks ago, Kaki to crater. We saw him, his mother was roaring, and he tried to roar along with her. So that was probably the first time I've ever seen him roar. So I'd say probably between a year and a half, they will start attempting to call. It's obviously not very loud or very long, very distinctive. It's still practice callings. But then you get the young male that Rowan had yesterday, both in the morning and in the evening. And he is almost 4, between 3.5 and 4. And you heard him roar. He had a very good roar, a very sort of powerful roar. We don't think he was going all out either. He can roar louder. So, and he's, as we said, 3.5 to 4. So I'd say the very first time they roar would be between a year and a half. But the first time they roar with any sort of value and effort will probably be closer on 3.5, 4 years old. And even then, very seldomly will they roar by themselves. That young male is not going to call like he did yesterday if he's not with someone else. That's territorial behavior, roaring. There's sort of contact calling, which is a softer, quieter version of the roar. And here, these cubs will probably be contact calling from just a few months old. Little noises, little squeaks, trying to find their mother, things like that. Amazing nature, no. The wild lions do not have any disorders or deficiencies. They are perfectly healthy. They have a normal lifespan, as long as they don't obviously get killed. But their lifespan can be completely normal like any other lion. They don't struggle from any, handicaps, disabilities, things like that. They are just a white color. Otherwise, they are 100% normal lion. Even though they're color, they're still 100% normal lion. And they can still live, very strong, healthy lives. I mean, you look at the third one. So we got 2 here. There's another one that's, I think, northern Sabi Sands area. And that is a male. And I think he's significantly older. Maybe 5 or 7.
4 years old now.
4 years old. And he's looking very strong, very healthy. You can find him on Google, Instagram, whatever. He's 4 and he's looking very good. So, no, these guys, stick with us. This young female, our youngest white lion, she will stay here. She will stay in this pride her whole life. So we'll have her for many years. You come back in, 5 years' time, and she'll be close on 6.5 years old. And then you'll see. Beautiful, beautiful animals. As long as they can survive that long. She should. This is a fantastic pride to be born into. You've seen these females. They are very, very big. The pride is fairly large as it is. 8 cubs here. So it's a great pride for them. These cubs, they've done phenomenally well to have this many and have them survive so long. Monique, living in London, we unfortunately do not have any updates on the young Birmingham male. I have spent both game drives looking for him. We had some tracks, but we couldn't find him when we were following those tracks this afternoon. So we do not know. The tracks are a good sign. It means he is walking, he is moving, and it means he is still alive. But we haven't actually seen him to get any confirmation to exactly how he is doing. That's why I think in a couple of minutes we're going to leave this pride and see if we can find them. As it's getting darker, it's getting cooler, that young male might try contact calling to the pride or even get up and start walking, and hopefully we can see him. But as of right now, I have no further updates for you, Monique. But believe me, I am trying, I am following, trying to find him. He is my favorite lion, so I will keep you updated as soon as I know something. I have complete faith that he will recover. I've seen him in much worse conditions and still pull through, so I think he should be okay, especially if we can find these guys. They've eaten, as we said, twice in 2 days. They have tried to hunt again now. So if he can find them, join up with them, bit of protection, bit of comfort, hopefully some food, he will be perfectly fine and he'll definitely recover. But as I said, these guys, they're just sleeping, so we're most likely going to leave them be now, make our way back towards the road. While we do that, we send you back across to James with his leopards.
We're still waiting for the little one to come out. We did a little turnaround, and there is still some meat left on the carcass. Believe it or not. And it's under a bush. Not the same bush, but it's there, and it's really starting to smell rank. And we did a little drive around to see if maybe the youngster was about, but he isn't, and so we're just going to wait here. And maybe he will emerge. Maybe he will not. Unfortunately, she has her head turned away from us, which is not ideal, but what can we do? We can listen to the beautiful birds calling, which is always nice. Crested francolins mainly. Hippo calling. That's when people say to me, what's your quintessential sound of Africa? That's it for me. Hippopotamus.
Can we go into infrared?
Okay, we're going to go into infrared now, everybody. On the count of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. also attempt to go around the other side. There's just another vehicle that's come into the sighting in a Land Rover built just post the desert campaign of General Montgomery. And I'm sure the little guys around here, the reason I'm just sitting tight is that yesterday evening we popped out and they both ended the night way up in this tree, and it was just wonderful. We are. It's okay. The people in the other Land Rover asking very kindly if they can leave while we live, which was very nice of them. If you're interested in vehicles at all, what you can hear there is the sound of the Rover V8. And basically, as it drives along, what it does is cut a hole in the ozone layer with the amount of emissions it makes. It was great fun to drive there. Okay, let's move around the other side. Unless David wishes to give you a moonshot. David, do you wish to give a moonshot? We have to get a colour. We're going to get a colour, Natalie, in 3, 2, 1, colour. And the moon, which I think is full tonight. Sit very still, just breathing quietly. The trick to zoomed and shot of the moon is to just not move anything at all, including your mouth. So let's see who can make a steadier shot of the moon, me and David or Lauren and VK.
We had a lovely moon framed up for you, but then we heard James was also showing you the moon. So we are going to show you a ribbon from a different angle. It is, of course, full moon, 99.9%, which is very exciting. Ribbon's popped her head up, but sadly there's no calling of the cubs. I'm not sure I got my timing right today, everyone. I am sorry. I appear to be off on all my timings. And Ribbon is so flat as a flat hyena is. And the other hyena, thank you, Michael Fleetwood, as always, it has appeared, is Comet. So Comet was the one that tried to come up. His penis was flaccid, Comet's the boy, which is a sign of submissiveness. So he was showing, I'm submissive, I'm bowing down to you, Ribbon. But he did the cheeky thing of trying to put his head in the den hole for a sniff. And that's when he got chased by Ribbon. And that's when he ran and crashed into the tree. He's still here though. Heart and Comet are still behind us snoozing. We just repositioned to give you a view of the delicious moon. Full moon tonight could mean lots of hunting for many predators. I wonder if the milk bar is closed for today. I'm really not sure. But we've came this far with our patience pants on. I don't want to leave. But I also am tempted to check quarantine. It's a tricky one. I don't know what to do. Let me do a time check. Ooh, 20 minutes to go. You think we should wait, Beaks? Or you think we should go? Oh, Beaky wants to go and explore. It's a hard one. She could get up at any moment and call them, of course. But she could have also finished for the day. And we are looking at a flat hyena. What do you all think I should do? Tell me, explore or wait? Oh, apparently we're all on the moon tonight. It's that glorious. We're all trying to show you it. You've seen it from James, you've seen it from myself, and we're now going to send you all the way across to Taylor McCurdy to show you her moon.
everybody. We have a moon, a watering hole, and some plants that can't run away from us. But there's something else that I really want to show you. If it would please come back and fly across your screen. Now. No. Of course, we've been sitting here for a few minutes, and we've had a few bats fly around and try and catch the insects that are out and about this evening, hovering around the water. You've got my audio, right? Okay, I'm just double checking. And yeah, they're not here now. Anyways, luckily the moon is still rising. I think tomorrow is the 7th, and that is when it shall be a full moon, so it is almost there, slowly but surely. Oh, there, the bat's back. It's not going to be a close zoom because they're almost impossible to follow, but there you go, you can see it flying around. Now, they're small little bats. They're the insect-eating kind, like I said. I probably need some help in IDing them. There is a few that are living around and come and roost in the tents during the day. You'll soon meet Michael Dangerous Anderson, and he has a bat. When I was staying in his tent for quite some time while he was on leave a little while ago, there was a bat there, and I could see that it was definitely one of the free-tailed bats, but I couldn't see which one it was. To be honest, I can't say that I've ever stared at too many bats before. So it'll be next time I'll try and take a good picture and ID it. But I'm sure they're all of the same species. And I like bats. I think they're great to have around because they eat lots of mosquitoes, which is good. So they keep those populations under control. Whee! Off they go. They're also very, very good at flying, as you can see. I think they'd give the bee-eaters and drongos a bit of a run for their money when they're flying in the sky. They seem to be a lot quicker and can turn, oh my goodness, pretty quickly. Also just this thing, the impala have started gurgling around again. But there's not much else that's come down. I thought that at least a herd would come and have a drink of water. That's not happening, but the clouds are settling in over the Drakensberg mountain. That's what you can see down there. And the last of the light, it's almost dark now. We're in that sort of crepuscular period, the last of the light. So we just have a moment where we just listen. I think so. Sadly, no whooping hyenas, no roaring lions, no sawing leopards yet. Who knows? I was speaking about fork-tailed drongos earlier and comparing their flying capabilities to the bats. I did just see one fly up and into the air like an acrobat, but it's now landed behind a tree, which doesn't really help us, so I can't even show you. And who knows when it's going to do it again. It was kind of, you know when you zoomed in with a mountain as a cloud? The tree closest to us, that one. Oh, I just poked the monitor. Yeah, center frame. So it's sitting somewhere down there. I think it's just sitting down below, behind the tree there. Now, Monique, yeah, we occasionally do night drives every now and then. It's something, of course, when we are training students as eco-training instructors, facilitators, we need to teach them about the nightlife as well. And I'm not talking about the big parties that happen. I'm talking about, of course, all the animals. So they need to learn how to use a spotlight, and it's a very important technique. And then trying to sneak up on a white-tailed mongoose or a civet, or to see a genet for the first time. As a guide, it's very important that you, of course, spend some time. Oh, night jar, not night drives. Anyways, in case you were wondering about night drives, yes, we do those as well. There goes the drongo. It's cheeky. It's going to land somewhere where we can't see it again. Night jars. Yes, we do see night jars. They're all over the road. Mainly the fiery neck night jar. I haven't been actually hearing many other night jars. But sometimes you hear the square-tailed night jar. Or as it was formerly known, I think it was the Mozambique night jar. All the bats have come back now. Awfully fluttering about. There's now about 3 or 4 of them flying around here. You also always know when it's going to be a miserable evening, is because the bats come back and into the tent. Well, that's what I noticed. They'd be all calm and there'd be nothing happening. The next minute there'd be a bat that would come back, and I thought, oh, this is a bit strange. And then not long after, winds pick up and rain comes. Alan, I concur. I also like the bats because they eat the mosquitoes. I think that's probably my favorite thing about them. And I'll tell you, you have to be careful with the mosquitoes. You don't want to be bitten too much. Ooh, one swooped right close to the camera. It would be really nice if we could find where there are some bats like roosting in trees and things like that and get a good view of them. But I think that I would probably see the moon fall out of the sky before I get to see something like that. No, I'm just joking. We just need to go to the right areas. I'm surprised. The lecture rooms here at Karongwe, so where we sort of train the students, they're all made of thatch. And I can't say that I've ever seen many bats and things roosting in the thatch roofs. And that's typically a problem. When I was in Kenya, I remember they were hanging wild basil, and I think it was wild sage from the roofs, trying to deter the bats from going there. Monique, I'm so glad you enjoyed both answers, even though you didn't ask one of the questions. You know, just always willing to give out information, even if you didn't want it. I'm sorry about that. But night drives at Karongwe are actually a lot of fun. I've seen genets, I've seen a very relaxed civet, I have seen probably the best bush baby sightings, lesser bush baby sightings I've ever seen. I've been keeping my eye out to see if I can't see any branches moving, because I'd absolutely love to show you a lesser bush baby bounding about from the bushes. But if we move from this dam, there is a spot where Alex and I, a few evenings ago, had the most amazing sighting, and it was so relaxed that it was actually right next to the car, and it stayed there for a few minutes. So if we do get that sighting, maybe we would be able to show it live. I mean, I've had some really good bush baby sightings before, but they'd be coming out of a tree like that. That's a big apple leaf tree. You can see it's got its is it those seed pods? All those just dried leaves. Seed pods. And dried leaves. No, I think they're dried leaves. Mike? Mike is ignoring me now. He's on the vehicle. He's learning about the presentation side of being a safari guide on camera. It's dark, and I can't say I've been staring. No, they're pods. They are pods. They're pods and leaves that are there. It's very dark, as you can see at the moment. No, Dylan, sadly we just discussed we're not sure what bats specifically they are. I think they're one of the free-tailed bats that eat insects, so part of the order Microchiroptera. So there's two orders, Megachiroptera, which is normally fruit-eating bats, and there's a whole bunch of them, and then you've got the insect-eating bats. So that's sort of how they divide these mammals. But there are so many throughout southern Africa. I can't say that I've ever successfully identified all of the species, just a couple of them, but it's been quite some time. And every time I seem to see them, our whole camp is on solar, so it's normally very dark, and I'm walking around with my torch most of the time. It's actually weird when I go into a house with electricity. I don't really know what to do with myself. It's so bright. It is so bright. I'm used to this sort of darkness. And now there's a chase between a blacksmith lapwing and a water thickney that's happening at the dam. That's what you can hear. There was an argument. We know that there is a male and female blacksmith lapwing that live around here. That's not them. It's just flown around the corner, sadly. But they might do a whirl around. Oh, more bats have joined the party. Must be a whole bunch of insects here. A good attempt at Alex trying to catch them. He's so determined to sit here. If he had his way, he'd have me sitting here all evening so that he can try and capture the bat. If you're not careful, Alex, one is actually going to fly into your face. That one that's flying above us. It comes so close. I don't think it quite realizes how high their camera is. Although they're using echolocation to find their food. And what they'll do is that often I don't think we'll be able to hear it, but it's a very high-pitched chip, 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 chip. Doesn't sound like it's a very high-pitched. Probably means that there is food close by, and you can see how erratic their flight pattern becomes when they are trying to locate their target. They remind me of the starships in Star Wars, and they're chasing after one another and trying to take them out of and we've got another war zone, and shoot each other out of the sky. It's quite fascinating. I missed the name is to ask the question. Well, I haven't seen around here. I've only the only place I've really seen bat hawks is in Zambia, in the Lower Zambezi National Park. I can't say that I've actually ever seen them in South Africa. I don't think so. Mike, have you seen a bat hawk at Karongwe Game Reserve? Where? You say, Mike has said very, very relaxed. Yes, I've only seen a bat hawk a couple of times here at Karongwe, along the river. Yeah. So they're probably here with all the bats, but I have not seen them. Like I said, seeing them flying across the Zambezi, it was quite amazing, out in full view. For again, very secretive birds, and they'll be hunting at this time, maybe even a little bit earlier. The beautiful moon and GI dam. Isn't that gorgeous? Maybe that's the glimmering hope we need to find the cheetah tomorrow morning. That's definitely. If you do it, we're going to keep trying to find them. The boys are heading north, and that female has moved into an area that she's not normally in. Well, not since she's had her cubs anyways. Okay, I think we're going to start making our way back towards camp in search of that bush baby. Off you go to Ngala to see what Sean is up to.
So we are also making our way back towards the camp, but because that's where the last sign of this male lion was. As I said, next to the wetland, our grey water treatment area. And so we're going to go sit there very, very close. I'll show you now. We'll drive past the lodge and see if we can hear him calling or see him even walking down the road. You can see how much darker it has gotten now. So there is a chance that he might even be walking around. So that's what we are hoping for. We've been looking for any sort of eye lights or eye reflection rather, and we haven't been lucky yet. But we know they're here. You know, the tracks that we had were very recent. They were on top of our vehicle tracks from this morning. So that means since we finished drive this morning, the lion then walked down the road. So his tracks are very fresh. The herd of elephants that we think chased him was still there. So, you know, I reckon we were maybe half an hour, a maximum of an hour behind the lion from where he was sleeping to when we got there. And that was still in the day when it was sunny, when it was hot, so I don't think he would have walked too far. So that's why we are banking on our chances of finding him now. The only thing is, where we are is very, very close to our eastern boundary. Just off to the left-hand side here is our eastern boundary. And there is a chance that this male has crossed over, in which case we cannot follow him. But, you know, let's be positive, cross our fingers, and hope that we can find him either in the road, walking down the road, or at least close to it. A number of areas there. Oh, what is that? I just saw some eyes there. It might just be an impala or even a bushbuck. Oh no, it ran away fairly quickly, not like a lion would. So probably an antelope of some sort. I just saw a bit of eye shine. Okay, so now this is it. This is where we believe this male lion to be in. So this on the right hand side here, you can see that fence there. That is the tented camp. That's where I live. So we're going to come and we are going to sit here. And we're going to wait and we're going to listen and we're going to see. While we do all of that, we're going to send you back across to Djuma with James and his leopards.
Oh, perfect timing. She's just got up right now, this second, and now she's going to wander down, perhaps, the tree and call her Bebe. He has not appeared as yet. We have heard some scuffling in the bushes, but we haven't seen him. Come down this way, Gucheva. Very nicely done. Although the landing was a bit noisy, you'll want to work on that. I'm not going to follow her for long. If she heads straight back towards the kill, then we'll stay with her. But given the slight nervousness of the little one, we don't want to cast too much light on the situation and give him a fright. I can just see her in front of us. She's just walking slowly towards where the kill is. Right, we've had a really crackerjack drive, I think, today. 2 leopards. He's just over there, Dov. She's calling the baby. And obviously hyenas as well. Lions. If you have enjoyed the drive and you've enjoyed being with us on lockdown, would you consider, please, supporting us? You can do that by going to the website, wildearth.tv/support. wildearth.tv/support. Let's just see if he appears. We've got 3 minutes left of the show. Now, often leopards become a little bit more confident when it's dark, especially if we're not shining bright lights on them. Just going to go a little bit forward. She's quite far away from us. And like I say, if it gets thick, I'm just going to pull out. We're not going to hang around. You still got her there, Dov? Yeah. Willie, I don't know. I'm assuming that the little cub, probably pulled it out by mistake. That's what often happens. It was hanging very precariously when we last saw it. So it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if he'd managed to pull it out. In fact, I suspect that if he'd even tried to go and have at it again, it would have fallen out. Let's listen to her. I'm not going to follow her up in there. I'm just going to let her go and look for her son without having to deal with the belching, burping engine. So that was really lovely. We've got 60 seconds left of the show, so I think you're just going to have to stare at my ugly mug until the end. David thinks the moon would be a better option. David is, of course, correct. Say goodbye to you now, and then I'm just going to be quiet for the last 30 seconds so you can enjoy it. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow.